Okay, today I want to speak about mysticism. Now, mysticism is very plain. Here's a dictionary, here's just a simple reading of it. Of or relating to mystics or mysticism, of course. A person who follows, advocates, or experiences mysticism. The mysticism, the belief that direct knowledge of God or ultimate reality is attainable through immediate intuition or insight. So ultimate reality. You have creation, you have reality, and there's multiple different simultaneous realities happening every second. There's every single second you pass through billions of parallel realities, billions of different versions of people, billions of timelines, just it's all out there. That's the structure of reality in the universe. Okay. So you want immediate intuition or insight of the reality you're experiencing. Now, everything you can find in a book comes from the ether around you. Man made these books. These books are produced by man, right? Based on man's experiences. So, experience is what your reality is. Whatever you're going through in the moment, it's your experience of it. So you can have 20 people in the room. All of our experiences can be different of what's going on within that room. And when we leave the room and we go out into the world, we're all going to have a different path, a different adventure, so to speak, a different timeline. There is no time. Time is, linear. The past, the future, whatever, it's all in the now. But our experience moment to moment to moment is all going to be different. Okay, so now I want to talk about something that I've been noticing over the years called cloning. How I get these insights, I don't know. I don't know how I get them. I can just be sitting here minding my own business and I'll just get information that'll just come into me like bam, like that, like an instant download. And it's almost like I went into a laboratory. Sometimes I'll be picturing myself like, how did I get these insights? I'll be thinking in my mind that I go into that I go inside some sort of laboratory or something and sit down with some otherworldly creatures, like put me in deep cover, teach me everything. You know what I mean? That's in my mind. That's kind of like how it comes up, but that's silly. So I don't know sometimes I just get insights. Now, I've been seeing a lot of different people through media, magazines, TV, all sorts of different people. And it just comes to me that the people, by looking at them, by reading their energy, their aura, by looking at the texture of their skin, the way they move, the way they talk, I can tell there's something far different about them. They're not normal people. Either they're not human at all, some sort of synthetic, robotic created creature, or they're a different form of human that's been cloned in some way. Now, there's a film out there called Jurassic Park, to where if you watch the film, you can see how they were taking ancient DNA from these reptile creatures that existed, millions of years ago, hundreds of thousands of years ago, and they were reproducing them in today's world. They were bringing back the dinosaurs. I've been thinking, if you can look at Antarctica and you can look at all these places around the world, they're discovering pyramids. Under the surface, under the ocean, they're finding pyramids. They're finding all these different caverns, mummies, thousands of years old, hundreds of thousands of years old. Some of these people, who knows? They could even be, millions. They might not be human. The people that they're finding might not be human. They may be mummies, but they might not be human mummies to begin with. There's something going on where they're taking the DNA from these mummies and reproducing it in today's world and creating people. And you can tell by looking at the people, by the way they look, like the physical attributes of their body, they'll just look different. There's just something far different about them. Their shape, they just don't look like normal people. But I don't think they know. A lot of times I don't think they know that they're clones. Or maybe they do. Maybe they do know, but the majority of them, I don't think they're aware of that. What would be the purpose of that? There's something they're doing with them. There's something being done with these. First of all, is to instruct people. What they can't get normal people to do, they can get these clones to do. So the clones could be modeling and acting in certain ways and doing certain things. Well, if they're not specifically human, or they didn't grow up within this generational thing, or they grew up outside the box, then it's going to be easier for them to do the things that is asked of them to do. So normal people that are being raised, they're going to see the news broadcasters, they're going to see the people in the magazines, they're going to see all these people, and then they're going to think, oh, that's how a person should be. A human's supposed to be like that. And therefore, they're following these people who aren't human, and they're trying to mimic that, and so they're losing their humanness. You see what I'm saying? That's on the negative side. That's on the negative side, though. But all in all, it's just strange. It's strange. If you go online, you just type in extraterrestrials, modeling, aliens, all this different stuff, you can see these people, they're being given all these expensive clothes and all these platforms to do all this stuff, and you can just tell by looking at them that there's something wrong. They're not people. It's through the text of their skin, and when they get on television, like the news broadcasters, the anchor people, they're always tripping out. They're always stuttering and losing their composure, and they have breakdowns and stuff when they're not supposed to have breakdowns. I used to think somebody was messing with their minds. I used to sit back and be like, you know what? There's something going on. Somebody's messing with their mind. I don't think so now. I think they're being raised. They're not humans, but they're being raised to be like humans in order to instruct humans. But then they have meltdowns or whatever as it comes along. It's an interesting subject. It's an interesting subject. You can grow human parts out of animals. You can grow. There was a mouse. They were growing an ear out of a mouse. That was back in the 1990s. So if you can grow an ear out of a mouse back in the that was for the public in the 90s. That was for the public in the 90s. So if they're showing the public how they can grow ears out of mouses in the 90s, they have been doing that long, generations before that. They're probably growing people out of cows, out of cow stomachs and all this stuff. The spirit world works like this. If a physical body can be created, then the spirit will want to inhabit it. A spirit will do anything to have that experience, to be able to have that physical experience. So if they can get the physicality of the being correct, then the spirit will say, yeah, I'll do it. I'll incarnate. I'll play the game. And the spirit will come in. They might even be asking the spirit beforehand, before they create. The spirit might have been the one telling them to do it in the first place. But this, let me see. I'm going to pull up a picture real quick. See, these scientists are at a whole different level. These scientists aren't in the human realm. The scientists who can do the cloning and stuff, they have access to spaceships. They're into quantum physics and all that stuff. They're like 100 years ahead of regular people. And so they can do about anything. I would go in if there was a place where you could walk in and just check it out and talk to them. I definitely want to see what was going on. See, then you have the concept of the other creatures, like the reptilians and whatnot. So it's I look at it like it's a training thing. like extra dimensional creatures are coaching people on how to do this stuff, or it's being taught to them directly through the spirit world. But interdimensional extraterrestrial creatures in the spirit world, they're spirits too. Extraterrestrials are spirits too, so it's the same thing anyway. I don't. One of the biggest things. This is the biggest thing I got. I don't know how regular people can't see this stuff. I don't get it. I just don't get it. When you're born, I always say this to people. When you're born, you're given a name. Okay, you didn't ask for it, it's given to you. Oftentimes, maybe not so much anymore, you're given a religion. Depending on what country you're in, you're given a nationality, or what area of the world you're in, yada, yada, yada. Then, you're given specific schooling. If you're going through that, you pick up on the culture values of those around you. You pick up on the styles, the trends. Everything is just given to you. You didn't create anything. It was already there before you came in. And it was already there before the people before you came in. The people before you came in. The people before you came in. So you're coming into this incarnation like, bam, you just show up. Everything around you is already there provided for you. Even if you want to be rebellious and say, I'm not doing this, I'm going to go do something else, the forms of rebellion that you choose are already created for you as well. The things you rebel with, so everything is already created. So you're already in a position to where to do something unique and out of the ordinary is very, very rare. So the mindset of the people is already in tune with the following thing. So they're already not looking for any real information or answers anywhere. They're just dun, 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 dun. And then when they get presented with these presenters, they get presented with there's presenters presenting the presenters, presenting the presenters, presenting the presenters, presenting the presenters. And when they get presented with those people, those entities, they're not going to, it's an instinct within them to not question anything. So if somebody looks strange or whatever, they'll defend it. They'll say, no, there's nothing wrong with that. You're like, no, look, there's something, look, that's not normal. There's something right there. There's something right there. And it's out of like 10 people, no, maybe it was like 50 people. Out of 50 people, maybe a few of them will be like wondering, like, well, yeah, there is something strange to that. And that's how they're doing it. And a lot of them aren't even, a lot of these people that are saying women, I don't believe they're women. I saw a guy the other night and he was showing how they got women who got masculine features and then they got men with the feminine features. And so it's like the cross-dress thing, just like how these aren't really people, then the sexes that you're presented with might not really be real sexes. And it's confusing. So you got people growing up, they think they're looking at women, but they're looking at men. Or they think they're looking at men, but they're looking at women. You know what I mean? So it's very confusing. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. It's very confusing. And the people aren't even tripping off it. Now, Frankenstein came from the concept of the golem, like that movie, The Golem of Prague, or whatever. So Frankenstein was supposed to be a being that was created in some way and put into a laboratory. You know, he got constructed, and so that's exactly how I think this stuff works. These people are being constructed, and they're tripping out. Then you got to think: are people being taken places? Are people being taken off the earth and brought other places and then replaced with something else here? Like that film Mars Needs Mothers. A lot of people it's a Disney, I think it's a cartoon, I've never seen it, but it came out of Disney, and the message is Mars needs mothers. Mars needs mothers. And a lot of people will see that. And in their mind, they just keep thinking like, this is a cartoon. This is fantasy. It's not real. It's fiction. It's fiction. It's fiction. I don't always agree with that. I think it's a message being sent subliminally. It's no, it's not even subliminal. It's right there. They're explaining to you what's going on. They're explaining to you what's going on. They have to tell you they have to tell you what's happening. And when I say they, I don't know who they is. I don't. Ultimately, I wouldn't know who. You say they, but there's a message being sent, and it's right there. But then people think it's entertainment. But the entertainment is telling you the truth. The entertainment is explaining to you this cloning stuff and aliens, extraterrestrials, all this stuff is real. But they're giving it to you as entertainment. But they're telling you the truth. Then everything else out there is probably entertainment. So, now one of the things I ask, okay, you have clones running around. If they're having children, who are they going to be having children by? If you have clones and they're having intercourse with people, can they have children? If they have children, will the children come out messed up from the cloning experiments? Or are they like half clone, half robotoid or something like that? And because somebody has to keep an eye on the clones. Somebody has to be constantly watching the clones. If a clone gets into an accident or something, they have to kind of come in and clear it up real quick, like a Men in Black type of thing. Something has to be there to make sure the clones are straight, to make sure the clones are okay. And when these clones start mixing with people, I'm wondering that the ET genes, like you talk about the Anunnaki and all that stuff. Say I'm a scientist and I go get the genes. I go get the genes from an ancient mummy from like 20,000 years ago. We go down to the bottom of the Bermuda, or the ocean floor, and we find a tomb, 20,000-year-old mummy. Bam. Okay, we're good. It's not human. Okay, even better. But what is it? I don't know. Let's figure it out. And so we go to some island somewhere, start creating people. Be like the guys, the genetic masters, the ET master geneticists, and we're studying them and saying, well, we don't know what it is. It's a humanoid, but it's not human, and we don't know anything about it. And so they're going to watch it and study the creature. They say, you know what? Put it in population. Put it in population, and let's see how it reacts. Will it be smarter than regular people? How will it adjust? That's exactly the type of stuff that I notice. That's exactly the type of stuff that I notice. Because people, like with the Wizard of, like with interfering with people's consciousness, like people talk about mind control and that type of stuff. I mean, like we talked about, when you're born, you're given a name and you're given out. So everybody walking around is under some form of what you perceive as mind control, no matter who they are. They have to be to survive. So the levels of conditioning of that, can't guarantee that the person won't do what they want to do. Like, people are still going to end up doing what they want to do. And so that's why I think this cloning business is so big right now. If there can be enough of them put in the population, clones, hybrids, what have you not, it can be a strong enough influence to get people to go in a certain direction. Most people. The mind control stuff is very interesting to me because they used to think you have multiple personalities. That's not true. There's only one personality. It's like a pie. And out of that one personality, it can be sectioned off into other personalities. And then they can create an alter. And the person can shift to that alter personality. And they usually still will remember things that happen, but it can get down to the point. It can get so scientific that the person won't know there is an alter. They won't know at all. You can take a person who's walking the streets and hit alter mode. The handlers can make them hit the alter mode. And once they hit the alter mode, they won't even know who they were in the other thing. They won't know anything about the other life. Nothing. They won't know their name. They won't know anything. And with a clone, it's even better. With a clone, it's even better because then you can erase memories probably. When I say clone, I'm meaning clone, but more like Robotoid. Like cloning the person, but cloning them with their mind managed differently. Their mind won't be the same makeup as a human being. And so they could probably clear memories out. Just like that movie, Men in Black. Just like the movie Men in Black. But I can just be sitting there, I'll be tripping. I can sit there and just watch people walking down the street. And if you look at ears will tell you a lot. You can look at certain types of ears that people have, and you can say there's something different about that person. And it'll come into my consciousness. I'll be thinking, that person's too different. There's something different about this person. They look too different. Might not even be human. Out there walking the streets. Isn't that crazy? Just like that movie with the cat sleepwalkers with the cat people. The were cats. These people are out there walking around and they're not even human. They're coming from ancient genetic lines, coming from the creation, Atlantis and all that stuff, but they're out there walking around. And the regular people that are encountering these entities, they're never going to know what they are. Sometimes they might see something. Some people might see something at some point, but in general, they won't even know what they are. But they're out there walking around right now. It sounds silly, but I'm convinced of it. I'm convinced. Or if they're not coming from an ancient line, again, this stuff is happening in laboratories. Where they're able to mix the genetics, like the Island of Dr. Monroe, going back to a film, was it Island of Lost Souls, or whatever? They're able to take the genetics, switch it around a little bit, and create cat people, all these different sorts of people. This is strange. As I'm talking, I'm looking at pictures on here. This is strange. Then you got look at this. I discovered there's an Illuminati card game. I've been seeing this for years. That Illuminati card game is real. Those aren't people. I don't believe that. When people get on YouTube and they get on television and all that stuff and say the word, they're not talking about people. I don't believe that for a second. Those are spirits. I'm convinced of that. Those are spirits. And the spirits are probably like 30,000 years old and 20,000 years old and all this stuff. Because you think about the spirit world, there is no, like, you live 100 years and you die. In the spirit world, you could be there forever. And everybody comes from the spirit world for this incarnation. So it wouldn't make sense for anything like that to exist in the physical world. It'd be operating directly from the spiritual world. That's where ETs come from. That's where humans come from. That's where animals come from. That's where everybody comes from, is the spirit world. But these clones, see, check this out. These clones, there was a song made called "In the Year 2525," if humans can survive or whatever. Now I love that song because for years I've always been into studying the interesting times of the '60s. So that song's always resonated with me. But what they're having there is a message. Whoever created that song, they had insight and they were trying to show people if humans can survive. And so humans physically, I don't think the song meant that humans are going to die. Like humans are just going to disappear or be extinct like a species of animal, which is possible too. That's possible too. I think what the song was meaning, what they were saying was will humans be in their right frame? Will humans be in their right spirit? Will they be in their right frame of mind? Will humans exist as the creature that they're supposed to be, that they're destined to be? And with all this with the spiritual dynamic of humans being put through different forms of mutations and this cloning stuff and the drugging, how people are being given drugs at an exorbitant rate, humans aren't in their center. And they're not able to perceive the things that are going on around them correctly. And so I think that's more of where that song was coming along with. It's like a waiting game. It's like a waiting game because each generation of people, they're going to forget a little bit more. Then a new generation comes in, they forget a little bit more, or they get taught out of who they're supposed to be. Humans got genetic memory, they got all this stuff, but people are sort of being taught out of what's inherent to them and what's natural to them. They're being taught out of it. It's a good example I'll give. Like how people say cliche stuff. How you say, just the way people talk, man. Just the way people talk, the way people act. People act the same. Everybody acts the same way. Like the stuff they say and the way they act is like the cars now. All the cars look the same. Like let me think of a phrase. Like I've noticed in a sense with women a lot of women adopt like a fake type of accent, like one of those Valley Girl type of responses to stuff, and you can see it now all over the place, and it gets mimicked. It gets mimicked by the leading people, the people that they see on TV and the magazines, all that stuff, the radio or whatever, and so they're mimicking this. But then it's changing their perspectives and the way they react to the world around them. If that makes any sense. But people don't know how deep it is, though. Because you got to think, for somebody who's worth a lot in the eyes of entertainment, for them to waste so much time doing silly stuff, you would think, they're behaving like that because that's who they are or whatever. No, they're behaving like that for a reason. There's always a specific reason. And somebody's hoping it'll be mimicked. Or it'll be believed. That what they're saying is believed. It's like a script. Spiritual. Deep spiritual stuff. Then they're coming in. You got people coming in now. And you got people coming in now and having more insights naturally. And so that's one of the things that's happening also, not just with cloning or whatever, but I think people are coming in automatically more aware of the spirit world, more people who are in touch with it. People who are more in touch with themselves are coming in with more insight, more connection, more capability in the world of metaphysics. It's just happening around them. And so I guess it's like a rush. It has to be a balance. So you see a lot of strange stuff like this happening, cloning, and people's minds being played with and stuff. You got to think what's happening on the opposite side. On the opposite side, there has to be some stuff happening as well to keep it all in balance. Like when people talk about indigo children and all that stuff, I think there might be something to all that. But see, humans have the potential. Humans got a lot of capability. They say people use 10% of their brain. They use all of their brain to make themselves only think they're using 10%. I think becoming more human means having more capabilities. Like if people start exhibiting, like if you're in a dark room and you cannot see the color on the wall, there's people out there who can touch the wall and tell you what color it is. There's people out there who can do stuff like that. I think that's becoming more human. Like the guy Stan Lee from Marvel Comics, they got people crawling up walls and stuff, skyscrapers. They got people outside in 0-degree temperatures and all this stuff. Those might be people who are more in touch with being human, and so they can display the qualities of these capabilities. I'm looking at these pictures. I just can't get over these photographs of these clones and all that stuff. And then it takes a certain mindset. When you say people living in society, they're looking at all this stuff, but then at the end of the day, it doesn't mean anything to them. It does. At the end of the day, it does. At the end of the day, they can sit there and listen to people talk about this stuff and research it. But at the end of the day, they have in their mind that it doesn't affect them. That none of this stuff is real. They'll go to sleep that night thinking, well, that's not real. Or it is real, but it's not real to me. It's not real in my world. Or this isn't real, this isn't real. And that's the most tripped out part to me. Is people are running around the world. You can show them all this stuff. Here, ancient Atlantis, Lemuria, pyramids under Japan, pyramids under the Bahamas, skeletons at the Smithsonian Institute, reptile creatures, all this stuff, and I want to go watch, I want to go to the movie theater. It doesn't make any sense. I think there's some. I think there's something in you. I think there's something in people. I really believe this. I think there's something in people that keeps their minds from being able to really know what's going on and to know who they are. I think when humans were created genetically, I think the creators that were modifying people, I think they did something to the consciousness of most people. It's within the genetics. It was purposely done. Something was purposely done with them to keep them, becoming unglued and learning all this stuff. Because it doesn't make sense to me how they can see so much and just be so so ignorant about it. Okay, it's like this. It's like this. You know you're being lied to every time you turn the television on. You know they're lying to you. Everything on you know it. You know it's a 24/7 lie. Nothing on there is real. But yet people still go to the television. That's one of the biggest things I don't get. You know that television is lying. 24/7. That's all it's gonna do. That's all it's ever gonna do is lie. But people still go to the television for the answers. Just like with the magazines, people are being sent messages about who they are, how they should look, how they should behave. They're being told from another source who they are or who they should be, when the source knows nothing about them. But they're being told from that source. And then when they can't fit into the image, then they get depressed and have all these problems. And they can't handle their life and they go try to commit suicide or something. You know the magazine's lying to you already about who you are. I mean, who you should be. How the hell are you going to be like a lot of women? I never understood that. I was like, how are you going to be yada, yada, yada? How can all these people fit into the image of one person on the magazine cover? But yet all these people spend all their energy trying to mimic that person and buying the clothes and acting like the person and behaving like the person. It's just like I never got that. So with the television, you get that. You get that. You get those lies with the magazines. You get those lies. Even the people around people are raised with so many layers of lies and so many things. They're going to be telling somebody that's what happened. Okay, you're going to tell me that's what happened. So that's what happened, right? They say, yeah, that's what happened. I say, how do you know? How do you know what happened? Were you there? No, I wasn't there, but I grew up. Oh, you weren't even there. How do you know? Or if you were there, it still doesn't mean you know what happened. And so people are raised with the energy around them, not just the magazines, the entertainment, the movies and stuff. There you go. That traced me over that. That's a replacement. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's not the fault of the TV. It's not the fault of the radio. It's not the fault of any of that stuff. The life that humans live, being raised by the entities around them, the entities around them cannot explain this stuff to them. So therefore, those entities have been replaced with the television and the radio and all that stuff. Because they can't explain to the people, the people raising people, they're not explaining to them what these things are and how they're happening. So therefore, they get replaced with the television. Because the people growing up are saying, well, I know you don't know what's going on. And I know the television's lying to me. So I guess it was cooler to be lied to by a television than be lied to by you. I mean, that's the way it looks to me. Like, it's like they want a first-class ticket through hell. Either take this person's lies or take that person's lies. Well, this person's lies look cooler. I think I can fit into their lies a little bit better than this person's lies. So that's about what it is. That's about what it reminds me of. This stuff is interesting, cloning. So therefore, if somebody really wants to figure something out, the best way to do it is to explore it for yourself. That's the only way you're really gonna learn anything, is to explore it for yourself. And that's usually the most scariest for people. People are afraid of the unknown. That's part of it. But most people don't know, you don't learn more about yourself until you go into the unknown. Most people will be like 40 years old or 50 years old, or however old, or 30 something, or 20 something, whatever, or whatever place in their life, and they won't know who they even are, because they never ventured into the unknown. They put a book over their own life, or they put a movie over their own life, or the people around them, what the people around them had to say. But then, because they were afraid to explore the unknown, they never got to figure out what was really going on to begin with, or what was going on around them. So that's one of the biggest things keeping people caught up. These clones, humanoid. I think the clones are going to be connected, if not already connected, with technology. Like how you see people are hooking themselves to certain sorts of devices and all that stuff. They're going to be doing like computer implants and whatnot, and they're going to be advertising it like it's so cool. Like, look, you don't even have to have a Google iPhone anymore to know where you're going. You can have an implant in your mind, and all you gotta do is think of Starbucks, and you'll know where to go. Like that's what's coming next. That's exactly what's coming next. That is coming. That is coming. They're gonna be selling it like it's the best thing. They're gonna be selling it, boy, and everybody's gonna be showing up at the Verizon stores and the Sprite and the Sprint or whatever like that. Like, look, I need. That's what's coming. They're gonna be going in there and getting these little chips put into them, and they're gonna say, "Oh, I want to order such and such from Sears." And they're gonna say, "You don't even have to go on the internet and Google it anymore. You can just think about it and you can order it. You know, you just think about your credit card number and all this stuff like that." That's what they're going to be doing, something like that. It's going to be. It might not be for like 20 years or whatever, but it's going to be happening though. People are going to be ordering. People are going to be ordering furniture and stuff from their minds, like chips in their mind and all this stuff. That's coming. That is coming. That's going to be a trip to see. That is going to be a trip. That's scary. That is scary. I don't. It, the older I get, the more scary this stuff gets. Because you got to think about it like this: it's a consensus reality, and it doesn't mean what's there is real, but because everybody's agreeing to it, is making it real. And the books have lied to them. The, the television, the bigger people around them. All this stuff is strange. This stuff is really strange. This stuff is really strange. I heard people talking a while back about the family unit, and they were saying how the family unit in America has become more and more difficult to continue because of the way how everything works now. Like the family unit is number one. That's under the influence of all this stuff. This stuff is strange. Humanoids and cloning and all this other stuff. What they're doing is they're bringing the it's like an invasion of the body snatchers or something. They can't get their minds and they just take their body. That's what's going on now. If we can't get your mind, we'll just take your body and clone you. Then there's only a small percentage of people who are figuring all this stuff out. There's only a small percentage of people who can figure it out. Transhumanism. And I'm not mad at them. If you really think about it, if you this is kind of strange, but if you really think about it, from a spiritual level during the incarnation process, I guess people had to agree to go through that experience to be able to experience it at all. But then on top of that, okay, so you come from the spiritual world to the physical world, and you agree to the purpose of that incarnation to go through those experiences. You gotta look at it. What else are people gonna do? The industrial age is over with. They don't need people to do anything like that anymore. If the people aren't going on their own, okay, I see. I can explain like this. If the people aren't going on their own true spiritual path and journey, trying to discover out who they are and what's going on around them, then they're inevitably going to end up in some sort of like sleepwalker, in some sort of hypnosis or whatever. It doesn't even matter how bad the life is people go through, because a lot of people will sit back and say, man, this person, they're on a spiritual path doing the research, but look at all this stuff that's happened to them. That's part of being a real human. If you're not going through heavy stuff and you're not dealing with a lot of stuff, then you're living, working a passive life, doing a 9 to 5 and all that stuff, afraid to say what you think, afraid to do anything, afraid to go into the unknown, afraid to have real experiences, can't figure out what's going on, being lied to all the time and accepting it. I mean, that doesn't look too good. You're better off getting banged up a little bit. Have an authentic life. These creatures are a trip. These creatures are a trip. See, that reminds me. I wonder what happened. This is a picture of Kanye West. I wonder what happened to Kanye West. It's like every time I see him, he just looks more and more. Not to put him. I never met the man, so I can't put him down. But he just kind of trips me out a little bit more every time I see him, and I don't even listen. I don't even know who he is. I just know he's a guy who, like, I guess he broke his jaw in a car accident, made a song about it, and got famous. And he's been doing good since then, but every time I see him, he just looks a little bit more tripped out. This stuff's fascinating. I'm gonna have to come back with this cloning stuff. I'm gonna look more into it, and then I'm gonna come back. You know what I get the feeling, and I was learning about this before. When you look at the Bahamas, the pyramids under the Bahamas, and you look at that area, people say that used to be like Atlantis or whatever. Pyramids down the bottom of the ocean, that whole area used to be Atlantis. When you think of the Cuban Missile Crisis, it kind of makes me think, what if that's really what the Cuban Missile Crisis was about? Was the Russians wanted to get under there and mess with that ancient stuff? With the American, you know what I mean? What if it was something like that? Under what was going on under the ocean instead of on the surface? I think a lot of the events on the surface don't have much to do with the surface at all. It has more to do with what's going on under the surface.